Good evening to our viewers in the West, and thank you for joining us. We are going to begin tonight with breaking news on that deadly shooting in San Jose, California, and a warning that may have been missed. Tonight, CBS News has learned that border agents questioned and released the killer, 57-year-old Samuel Cassidy, 5 years ago after he was found returning to the U.S. carrying writings about terrorism and professing that he hated working for the Valley Transit Authority. It was at that same transit rail yard where he opened fire Wednesday, gunning down 9 of his colleagues in what now appears to have been a methodical execution, with Cassidy shooting specific coworkers and letting others go. Now, as we come on the air tonight, we're learning more about the coworkers who lost their lives and the heroism they showed as those shots rang out. One victim even pushing someone to safety before being killed. CBS's Jamie Yukas is in San Jose again tonight and is going to lead off our coverage. Good evening, Jamie.
Good evening, Nora. Newly released video shows the shooter, Sam Cassidy, who has just killed coworkers, casually walking from one building to a second building, where he took the lives of even more people. A coworker told us Cassidy was antisocial, unpleasant, and clearly disgruntled while at work.
Tonight, the first images of the gunman during the rampage, walking between 2 Transport Authority buildings, where he killed 9 coworkers at a San Jose rail yard. Santa Clara County Sheriff Lori Smith says 57-year-old Samuel Cassidy appears to have targeted the victims.
We do know that he confronted one person and said, "I like you, get out of here," and then went to the next. The person that he did not shoot was not an employee there.
A federal official confirms to CBS News U.S. Customs officers had previously detained Cassidy after a trip to the Philippines in 2016, noting he professed a hatred of his workplace and was carrying books about terrorism. A neighbor's door cam video shows him putting a bag in his truck and leaving home the morning of the attack. It contained 3 automatic handguns and 32 magazines.
This is an active shooter.
39 rounds were fired before law enforcement confronted the shooter. By then, he had killed himself.
We had a lot more ammunition.
This could have been a lot worse.
It really could have been. I believe that our deputies actually prevented more loss of life.
Our friends will be missed.
The 9 victims include Taptapjik Singh, a train operator for roughly 9 years. He leaves behind a wife and 2 small children. Before he was gunned down, coworkers told his family the 36-year-old Singh pushed one of them into a room to hide from the shooter, then frantically started warning others.
He just saved her, and then after that he go towards the downstairs,
There was no answer. And then I texted, and there was no answer.
Coroners confirmed a 9th victim, 49-year-old Alex Ward Fritch, who died at the hospital.
The nurse came in because he was deteriorating. And she said, "He knows you're here. He's crying." And he took his last breath.
Police are also investigating a fire at the gunman's house that broke out around the same time as his attack.
But it seems too coincidental that we'd have a fire about the same time as the active shooter. He had to have some kind of a delay for the fire being started.
Investigators believe Cassidy acted alone. His ex-wife, Cecilia Nelms, says he struggled with his anger during their 10-year marriage.
His temper, that was one of our biggest problems.
Local law enforcement, fire and emergency crews had recently just trained in an active shooter drill at the rail yard. The sheriff said her deputies tell her their training immediately kicked in, and she's positive they saved lives. There is a vigil tonight, and we've learned some of the victims' families will be there to grieve.